Okay, good afternoon, everybody. So my name's Georgina Fletcher, and I'm the Assistant Director of the School for Primary Care Research. And I've been asked a couple of times about the structure of the NIHR and where the School for Primary Care sits within the NIHR. So I thought, well, I'll tell you what, let's do a quick webinar masterclass. So hopefully you'll learn something you perhaps don't know already today, and I will make my slides available for you afterwards, and they've got web links in the slides so you can go and find further information. And also we'll have some time at the end for you to ask some questions, which if you want to just put them in the chat as we go along, and then we can have a look at that when I've just finished presenting my slides. Okay, so if you don't already know it, we are in an acronym heavy world, and I just thought I'd show you the first two ones. NIHR, which is now the National Institute for Health and Care Research, and Care was added last year, and it's just useful that we all remember that. And then SPCR is School for Primary Care Research, obviously. So the structure of my talk today is going to start with the Department of Health and Social Care, yet another acronym, moving on to where the NIHR is within DHSC, then the School for Primary Care Research. I'm going to briefly mention the other two research schools, which are collectively with us called the three research schools. And then lastly, I'm going to show you some slides from the NIHR Academy, which essentially looks after the people side of research, i.e. personal awards like studentships and fellows, and just talk to you a little bit about what's on offer there. So, Department of Health and Social Care. Obviously a government department, and the Chief Scientific Advisor is also the CEO of NIHR, and that's Professor Lucy Chappell. I'm sure quite a few of you have seen her talk or seen news pieces from her. She's a consultant obstetrician, and she, as I say, is the person in DHSC who looks after the NIHR. She works with the director of the Science and Research Evidence Directorate, and that person is called Dr. Gail Marzetti. And they obviously have a senior management team, and they're collectively called the SRE Directorate, SRE Directorate. Just so you know that this is a sort of context in which all of our work takes place, these are the current DHSC's areas of research interest. I'm not going to read them out to you. I'm sure some of you will be already familiar with them. But as I say, this is the context that we work within. Somebody says they can't see the slides. Is that? And somebody said they can see it. Thank you. So hopefully the person who can't see them. Thank you. And I think it's always useful just to refer back to these, just to sort of check where we are in terms of our research priorities and our research topics, with this underneath this sort of umbrella of topics. Then in terms of how the NIHR governs itself, this is from the NIHR website, and they have a series of boards that look after the activity. So this is just a repeat of the previous slide, DHSC, and there's a board that obviously includes Lucy Chappell and Gail Marzetti, who I've just already introduced, and they are joined by the scientific directors of the NIHR, of which there are 4. The directors of the NIHR coordinating centres. Now, these used to have separate names, but now we're not supposed to call them separate names because it's moved into an era of one NIHR. But the fact that there are still directors means that there are still centres, and we in the school work with 2 particularly closely. One is the Academy, who I've already mentioned, and more about them later. And the other part of the NIHR that we work very closely with is called the Central Commissioning Facility, and they work with us on our research programmes. This board here, the engagement board, strategy and engagement board, is new. It's only been in place for about 12 months. And this is where we are able to contribute to NIHR strategy. So as I said to you, there's 3 research schools, and the 3 directors take it in turns to represent the 3 schools at this engagement board, which then feeds through to the NIHR board and on to DHSC. The other members of this board are directors of other programmes such as research for patient benefit, health technology assessment, and there's some other programmes such as the Centre for Evidence and Dissemination. So this is where, as I say, the school can input directly into NIHR business and plans. Again, I won't read this out, and there's a link here to this particular page, but this is the NIHR specific mission and statement of what they are there to do. And I'm sure all of these will probably chime with you in terms of what we're doing, in terms of engaging the public and patients. There's links with the workforce priorities, and obviously high quality research that will benefit patient care. So this is all just setting the scene really of the NIHR. And in case you've never heard it, very often the NIHR is actually called the research arm of the NHS. And I think that's quite a nice way to think about it. So moving on to the School for Primary Care Research. So we are a programme of research that is now in its 4th phase of 5-year funding. So the research started in 2006, and we're in our 4th phase of funding. The membership changes each phase and is based on a competition of some kind to get into the school. And the school is given 2 contracts. The first one is a research contract, and that is to increase the evidence base with high quality research to inform the development of and changes to clinical practice in primary care. And then the second arm of our work is to provide strategic leadership for the development of primary care research and primary care research capacity. And that's what we call our RCD work, research capacity development work. This is a picture of a recent meeting we had in Exeter, and this was a meeting for our personal award holders. So we call them our trainees, just a shorthand, and there's board members there as well and colleagues from NIHR. So, as I say, we're in the 4th phase, started on the 1st of the 4th, 21. So we're nearly, well, we are halfway through. It's amazing how time flies. And when we were commissioned this time, we were given a wider remit by NIHR. And that was to support developing the wider primary care research. So particularly non-medical clinicians and also methodologists working in primary care. And I think that we all felt that was a really exciting development, because what also goes along with that is we can actually use some of our research funds to support people outside of our membership, which we've not been able to do in the previous 3 phases. As I say, the membership's renewed each time by NIHR. And once that membership was agreed back in 2020, started to work together on a business plan for this 5-year phase. And one of the first things that was done was that we had a reconfigured board directorate and executive, and I'll just explain a little bit more about what they are. So I'm sure most of you on the call will know who the 9 members of this phase are, but just there in case some of you are from outside the school. So as part of the business planning process, which was, as I say, happened ahead of the actual start of the programme, it was decided that we would run with these 4 research themes. And to have 3 cross-cutting themes, which are PPI, E, and policy and implementation. And because primary care is such a massive area, I think it was agreed that pretty much most topics will fit somewhere under those research themes, or more than one. So how are we organised? So because we've got 9 members, to ensure good representation at our board level, which is essentially our decision-making body, each member has got 2 board members. And now hopefully you all know who yours is if you are based within a membership, but if you don't, there's lots of details on our website under the About Us tab. The first time we recruited 2 deputy directors, and they are Professor Fiona Stevenson from UCL and Professor Sally Lamb from Exeter. We also have an EDI lead for the first time. Sorry, my dog's just about to bark. Excuse me. It's not a meeting without my dog interrupting, sorry. I think the postman's just arrived. So equality, diversion and inclusion. So that's Dr. James Shepherd from Oxford. For the first time in the school's history, we have now got an academic lead for PPIE. That's patient and public involvement, who actually sits on the board, and that's Professor Miriam Santa, who's based in Southampton. The NIHR expect all programmes like ours to have what they call an academic capacity development lead, a bit of a mouthful. And Professor Steph Taylor from QMUL is our lead, with Professor Hazel Everett, based in Southampton, as our deputy ACDL. Our director for this 4th phase is Professor Christian Mallon, who's based at Keele, and the assistant director, that's a new post for this phase, and that's me. So all of these people make up the SPCR board. And then another new development this time was to have an executive to meet more regularly than the board, and to be a smaller group that can liaise with NIHR if necessary, to make recommendations in between the quarterly board meetings. And that's made up of 6 of us. So that's a director, assistant director, 2 deputy directors, and our ACDL and deputy ACDL. I've pinched this diagram from another document that our PPIE manager, Hallie Johnson, created a couple of weeks ago. So thank you to Hallie for that. She's much better with technology packages than I am, but this is just sort of an infographic showing the organisational structure. There's our executive with the board. We also have an external advisory board. Again, this is new for this phase, and we have people from one of the other research schools. We've got people from the other devolved nations, so Northern Ireland, Scotland and Wales. We've got different methodology people on there, so a good range of people who can help us essentially be critical friends to us about how we intend to run our business. And they meet annually, and we've had 3 meetings to date. And another external board that we have is a funding panel that helps us essentially look at our funding rounds, because we do commission research within the school, and obviously that needs external scrutiny. There's a bit more information about what we call the directorate. So the directorate is essentially the operations team for the school, and we are based in various different places within the membership. Christian, as I've already said, is Keele University. I have my employment contract with Keele as well. My deputy is Jess Nye, who's the Senior Programme Manager, and I'm sure lots of you have come into contact with Jess. Then we have a couple of programme officers, that's Christina Farrell and Heather Gibbs. Hallie, I've also mentioned her already. Stephanie Gallimore, she's our Finance and Contracts Manager. And Claire Ashmore, who works on the 3 Schools programme for mental health. Again, I'm sure you've probably interacted with lots of these people at different times, but I've put a link up here just for, it will take you through to their contact details if you need them. Right, so this is a schematic, just another way of sort of demonstrating how we run our business in the schools. So we are allocated a huge chunk of money from the NIHR, and essentially what we do is commission research or issue personal awards such as fellowships and studentships on behalf of NIHR. So we have 2 different contracts with DHSC and NIHR. One is for research and one is for research capacity development. And this is where the 2 coordinating centres at NIHR come in. The Central Commissioning Facility looks after this research agreement, and the NIHR Academy looks after our RCD agreement. What we've done with Keele as the sort of signature to this header agreement is that we then have a collaboration agreement with our other 8 members. It doesn't mean that Keele is superior or higher in the hierarchy than the other 8 members. It just happens to be the organisation that actually contracts with DHSC. And then when the School for Primary Care Research makes awards for research or for capacity development, it is the school that then awards and issues letters for research projects and fellowships, etc. So I think you could think of us essentially as a funding body in our own right, really, which is quite different from some of the other programmes within the NIHR. I will come back to this later, but just to mention that the 3 research schools that are funded by NIHR, so that's us and the School for Public Health Research and the School for Social Care Research, joined together a couple of years ago to run some programmes of research that runs across social care, public health and primary care. And the first one of these was mental health research. And the School for Primary Care Research was asked to actually manage that contract. So that came an offshoot of our research programme contracting. Again, just for operational reasons, it doesn't mean that the SPCR is superior in that collaboration relationship with the other 2 schools. It's just a sort of function to make sure that the award letters and monitoring and evaluation of feedback, etc., is managed. And then a third programme that the School for Primary Care is involved with is a PhD programme that's funded by the Wellcome Trust. They had a call for PhD programmes for health professionals a few years ago, and the school plus Cambridge, which used to be in the school, applied for one of these programmes, and ours is for primary care clinicians. And this sits alongside the School for Primary Care Research activities. So again, there's a link to that on our website. So just in case you see that and wonder where that fits in. Cross-cutting theme, as we mentioned in the research themes, and is obviously PPIE. And we obviously expect, as a funder, we expect that PPIE is firmly embedded all the way through the research cycle. To help us manage PPIE in the school, and that is in terms of PPI representation in our governance structures, on interview panels or funding panels. We have a network of PPIE leads who work with Hallie, who is based in the Directorate. Hopefully you all know, if you're based in an SPCR member, who your local PPIE lead is. But again, there's a link here on the slide that will take you through to the list of names. I won't go through them now. And they can be your first port of call in terms of any questions you have about PPIE. So just to go into a little bit more detail about the fact that we're essentially a funding body. Again, this was decided a number of years ago in terms of how we manage the allocation of funds that we get from NIHR. And it was decided that we should split the funds up into a pot for internal projects. And by that we mean mainly research taking place in just one member of the school, and external funding, which is where 3 or more of the school members are involved. And we run a series of funding rounds, and new to this phase of the school, we have, as I've already mentioned, been able to let money go outside of the membership. So the collaborative elements of our research projects has greatly increased, which has been really good to see. So not only can the SPCR work with specialists, etc., outside of the membership, but it also is supporting the wider primary care, academic primary care community. Now, at this point in our funding cycle, we don't currently have any more funding streams planned, because obviously during a 5-year cycle, we need to basically commit all of the money within the first 2.5 years to enable research projects to run right up until the end date of our overarching programme. So this is a bit of an issue for us as a 5-year programme. It is something we've mentioned and discussed with DHSC and NIHR on a number of occasions. And I know that they hear us, but at the moment, that's where we are. So I'm afraid I can't say to you, look out for funding round X, Y, or Z next year, because at this moment in time, there aren't any more planned. The other arm of our business, our activity, is that we have the research capacity development stream. And this includes a number of awards, PhD students, and we allocate 1 studentship per member per year. And we're obviously just about to start. We are going to be advertising for the 2024 intake just after Christmas. We have 2-year postdoctoral fellows. Now, this is an open competition for people outside of the school membership, as well as those within. And currently, the fellowships can only be based within the membership, but if somebody from, say, Newcastle or Lancaster wanted to apply, they could do, but they would have to undertake their work within the SPCR member. We also have a pre-doctoral award for clinicians. These are 1-year awards at around about 0.5 FTE. And these are obviously, because they're pre-doctoral, they're mainly about preparing for a doctoral research application. And then the other stream of funds under this contract is what we call C-Core and bridging. Small amounts of money that are available to those within the membership to prime some projects, or to give people a little bit of space to apply for a fellowship or something like that. And also bridging, because obviously we're so well aware about the uncertainty of fixed-term contracts, etc., in the research community. And if we can provide a little bit of bridging funds to enable somebody to be retained, then that's what we expect those funds to be used for. So these particular awards we do see as being very critical to the success of our school. We have revised and refreshed the fellowships this particular phase, and we now have the postdoctoral scheme that runs twice a year, and we found that that's been really helpful for perhaps people who apply when they're not quite ready for a postdoc, or that their project isn't quite as well structured as perhaps it could be. So they don't have to wait. You don't have to wait too long before you can apply again. We are very aware of our remit to be able to support the wider primary care community in terms of different allied health professionals. So we've got a specific note about that. I've already mentioned that unfortunately at the moment it's only SPCR members that can host fellowships. So we would be keen in terms of being able to support the wider academic primary care community, that we could have a model whereby, again, I'll just use an example of perhaps Sheffield. If we had a nurse in Sheffield who wanted to do some work with us, they could stay in Sheffield and retain all their employment, etc. there, but work with the SPCR. And that's an aspiration for us going forward. And this, like most sort of personal awards, these awards are mainly about salary costs. So that's why we call them the People Awards. Okay, so just coming on to some other opportunities that the SPCR can offer. Now, I've just split these into two sections. So by virtue of being based within a School for Primary Care research member, so that's the 9 university departments, anyone based within those 9 departments can apply for these top 4 or attend these top 4 opportunities. We have one place per year on a Canadian programme, Tutor PhD, transdisciplinary understanding of primary care. The link here just shows, takes you through to some blogs of previous people who've been on that programme. We have one particular leadership programme that we have some ring-fence places on each year. And we are looking to actually widen the provision of leadership opportunities within the school, because this particular one I'm talking about that has ring-fenced awards is based at the University of Oxford, and it's for sort of more senior mid-career people, I would say, and we want to think about what we can offer for perhaps those early to mid-career researchers without duplicating anything the NIHR Academy puts on, or indeed any of your universities or the other providers. We want to be able to try and plug gaps rather than just duplicate other offers. Mentoring skills. This is something that's fairly new for us. We've managed to secure the services of a lady who's based, who's done some work for the NIHR, and we've had our first face-to-face mentoring skills day. And the same programme is going to be run online in 2024. So if you're interested in attending that, please look out for the sign up sheets for that. Masterclasses. So I've already mentioned that we have an annual event for our trainees, but we've thought for some time, and particularly this started through COVID, that just doing things once a year, perhaps we could supplement it with other things. And so we've called them masterclasses. We had quite a few during COVID when we couldn't actually get together physically. And we have got a programme now for 2024. And again, keep an eye out on our website. We've got things like systematic reviews. There's one on women in academia and a whole host of different skill sessions. And these are available to people who are not necessarily in receipt of SPCR funding. These two in italics are for those who are in receipt of SPCR funding. So we had our first annual writing retreat last year for our stipendiary PhDs, and we will be running that again this year. And then again, the photograph that I showed you earlier is the annual trainees event, which is for our SPCR funded fellows. A couple of other opportunities that we support, and these are more about encouraging people into academic primary care. And so we have an annual award called the George Lewis Award, which is an essay prize for medical students. And it's been great to see some of our award winners going to present their work at places like SAPSI, Society for Academic Primary Care. And also our internships. We've had 6 years now of each of our members hosting interns, and they are aimed at all disciplines at undergraduates, people who might be interested in primary care research. And again, we're seeing some lovely outputs from these sort of short-term opportunities where interns are doing some research with one of our members and are presenting, contributing to papers and that sort of thing. So although these might not be available to you, I think it's good that you know about them. So for example, the research internships, it might be that you find out what's going on near you, and there might be some buddying or something like that that you could do as an opportunity for your own personal and professional development. Okay, that was a whistle-stop tour through the SPCR. Just a brief mention now about the 3 schools programmes. So there are three school programmes. First one, mental health. That is coming towards the end of its 3-year funding period in March next year. We have been asked to submit a plan for a further 2 years of funding, which we've just done. So if that's successful, there will be some more funding awards available through that scheme. And again, please do have a look on the website and see the types of projects and people that we've funded, because it could be you, it could be next. Ditto the dementia programme. So this is actually managed by the School for Social Care Research. This has already had its phase 2 funding confirmed, and this will run through to 2029. There's going to be a whole host of things advertised early next year, career development awards. We've had the first round of research awards. There's going to be some PhD students. So again, lots of other funding opportunities that are not just SPCR specific. And finally, the 3 schools prevention programme. This is going to be managed by the School for Public Health. Again, this has only just started in October, so it's in an early phase of essentially consulting with a wide range of stakeholders at the moment before it's decided exactly what will be funded. But there will be some career development type activities and also research programme funding. So again, something to keep an eye out for next year. Okay, so my last section is just to move on to the academy. So because this is a masterclass in terms of skills development, raising awareness, etc., I'm just focusing on the academy today, not on other parts of the NIHR in terms of research funding. So this is all about capacity development. And these slides are from a slide deck that we've been provided with from the NIHR Academy. And again, if you need to find out more information, it's all basically from the NIHR website. So this is just a summary of what they do, and essentially this is what we do in the School for Primary Care scientists and clinicians. The NIHR does it across all of the disciplines, so surgeons and secondary care and the whole health workforce essentially. So there will be things that are available to you at the academy level as well as at school level. So this is an infographic which unfortunately is not yet on the website, but I believe it will be shortly. This is a schematic showing all the different awards that they have, but I'm just going to talk about a couple of them today. The first one here is the Development and Skills Enhancement Award. So this is essentially what it says on the tin, an opportunity for you to develop some skills, and that's available to you. It is an application process. I think it's there's another slide here about it. Again, I won't go into too much detail because you'll have these slides afterwards, but there you can apply there's three competitions a year. So again, you don't have to wait too long until the next one. And it's for early to mid-career researchers to gain specific skills and experience ready for your next phase of your career. I'll just go back. And then another couple of specific awards that you might want to think about, or opportunities, I should say. Visiting Speaker Award and the Short Placement Award for Research Collaboration, otherwise known as SPARC. These are academy funded awards, and again, please do take a look on the website, both ours and the academy. You can see there's some blogs, etc., from people who have had those before, so to give you an idea. And we'd be very happy to support you in an application for a SPARC or Visiting Speaker Award. And then the other thing to point out from the academy in terms of support is what they call incubators. And these are what it says here: community-driven approach to address areas, disciplines where there's a need to build research capacity at a national level. And the ones that probably are of most use to our community, the current ones are, there's a nursing and midwifery incubator. Now that one is coming to its end, but there's a whole host of resources on their website. There's an incubator for mental health research. This has been very, very busy and has done a lots of activity, and we have tied in with that with our 3 schools mental health programme. A methodology incubator, obviously, you know, that will apply to all sorts of different people. And what these incubators have done is essentially run events, create resource pages, offered networking opportunities. So I really would encourage you to go and have a look at those. A new series and the next phase of incubators are funded from January. And again, I've just pulled 2 out of the list of, I think there's 10. There's one going to be running for pharmacy professionals, and there's one that's going to look at race equity and diversity in careers. And the SPCR is going to be involved at some level with both of those. So again, this is just the academy slide. So they've just picked out some of the activities from this is the mental health research incubator. Just some bios and profiles of mental health researchers there. They've run this programme called Grow. We've had a number of SPCR members go on that, and the feedback's been really positive about that. So look out for the next iteration of that. The Wessex Reach Incubator is not a profession-based one, but a regional one, obviously, hence the name Wessex. So that for those of you in the Wessex region who don't know about the Wessex Incubator, again, something for you to look out for there. Okay, so we've talked about SPARCs. Doctoral training camp. So by virtue of being in receipt of an SPCR award, a doctoral or a SPCR studentship, you can apply to go to the doctoral training camp. Again, very good good feedback from this. There's blogs on our website for people who've been previously, so you'd like to get if you want to get a sort of feel for what they're like. And we will ask you to apply for the one place. There were 2 places we normally get per year, and we will select from those applications for the people to go on that one. So another opportunity that you may not be aware of. Talked about those. So this is all, I think, just information about things that the Academy runs that you might be interested in. This is something that's very new, Pre-Application Support Fund, and this is to sort of encourage people who perhaps have not had much exposure to research. So you may have colleagues who are practitioners or something like that who are thinking about coming into research and perhaps need a little bit of space, a little bit of money to do that. Another new award, there is a Team Science Award. There's a webinar for this, in fact, tomorrow, I think. There was a camp earlier in the year, and one of our members, Megan Armstrong, not Strom, very kindly did a blog for us. That was really interesting, got some photos in there. So thanks to Megan for doing that. So this camp was sort of ahead of the actual funding call coming out, but you don't have to have attended the camp in order to be able to apply for the funding. And this is particularly about MLTC, multiple long-term conditions. So if you're working in that area, definitely be of interest to you. And then just before I end, just these are some online resources that you could look at in your own time. So there's some development resources in terms of either workshops or just modules. Webinars, lots of webinars. So these can range from development webinars such as leadership, or webinars that are about research programs that are coming up. So, for example, there's the new NIHR internship program. There was a webinar about that recently. So if you couldn't attend that but are interested, you can go onto the YouTube channel and catch up with that. Mentoring program. I've obviously mentioned that School for Primary Care Research has done some training, but if you're a postdoc, you can access the NIHR mentoring programme. I sit on the steering group for this, and there's a big push for NIHR to extend this to doctoral students as well, not just postdocs. And a paper has been submitted to DHSC for additional funds in order to do that. So hopefully that will come off and we'll be able to see that next year. So this is a conference that the NIHR Academy holds. I normally go every year, and I've seen a few SPCR people there over the years, but I think it's something that perhaps people see and don't think it's for them. It's a developmental programme, and there's all sorts of different, they have a theme sometimes, and there's things like media training, presentation skills, that sort of thing. And there's normally about 300 people there, so it's a big conference. And of course, as I've said, the NIHR Academy is for, you know, the whole range of professions and methodologists and what have you. So this isn't just primary care, it's the whole range of things, but it's free to go to. So again, if you're not aware of it, perhaps have a look out for next year, be October and November, and it's normally held in Leeds. Oh. Another opportunity online, some e-learning, some different modules through NIHR Learn. You just have to sign up to access NIHR Learn, but it's quite easy. And yeah, that's it. And back to the beginning. So I appreciate that that is a very, as I say, whistle-stop tour through NIHR and SPCR, but hopefully it's given you a bit of an idea of sort of where things sit. I'll have a look at the chat now and just see
I can
if
read them out for you,
any
Georgina.
questions. Sorry, Heather.
I can read them out for you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
There's
That'd
a
be
couple of
great.
questions and a comment.
Yeah.
So one of the questions is do all funding awards, including the PDFs from SPCR, need to end by the 31st of the 3rd, 2026?
Okay, good question. So our research awards do. And that goes back to the comment I made about the stop-start issue with the 5-year programme. With the personal awards, the Research Capacity Development Awards, new for this phase, we are going to be able to recruit people whose awards will extend past that date. And therefore we can keep recruiting people into these awards for every year of our programme, and that is just a massive step forward. So yeah, hopefully that answers your question. So we've just shortlisted for our April 24 postdoc, and we will be launching our October 24 start postdocs and primary care clinicians February time next year. And of course, those will go 6 months over the end of that overarching contract date. So very positive move from the Academy there.
Thank you. We've got another query about the doctoral fellowship funding. Just to clarify, if there are 3 schemes via the NIHR, the welcome ones, a single school of primary care one, and for each linked institution, and a separate NIHR set.
Yeah, okay. So doctoral fellowship, i.e. studentships. So the School for Primary Care Research has 9 a year, and one per membership, one per member of the school. So that's SPCR. The 3 schools programmes, mental health, dementia and prevention. The dementia and the prevention programmes will have studentships. And then we have PhD awards via the Wellcome Trust. That's the 3rd category, and those are for primary care clinicians, so pharmacists, nurses, midwives, allied health professionals, GPs, dentists. And then the 4th category would be the NIHR Academy Doctoral Research Fellowships. So there's a lot out there, and I do appreciate it is quite confusing. So hopefully my summary of those 4 different funding sources is useful.
Thank you. Then we've had a comment just that it would be wonderful if doctoral students would also be eligible for the mentoring programme.
Yeah, absolutely. As I say, I've been sitting on the steering group for that programme, and it's been something that's been talked about since its inception, really. Obviously, they had to start somewhere with the envelope of funding they had, and it was decided to go for postdocs. But yeah, I think every single member of the steering group have supported the move to asking for further funding to extend that into doctoral. Yeah.
We've got another query about if the recording with the questions will be made available. So
I believe it will.
It is
yes.
being recorded.
Yeah. And as I said, you can have my slides as well.
Sorry,
yeah.
Another query just on the PDFs.
Yeah.
Does that mean that there's only 2 or 3 are awarded in each round?
Yeah. So the budget that we got for the 5 years is approximately £10 million, and we've, as I say, we've divided that up for postdoctoral fellowships, primary care clinician fellowships, CCORN and bridging, and our studentships. And the budget that we put aside for the postdocs is approximately 25 fellows over the 5 years. So it depends which year we're talking about, but for example, for the April intake, the April start, we have got 3 postdocs available.
And then I think this is the final question. Do we know if the SPCR will have a 5th iteration and whether it is likely to change much from the 4th school?
I was going to say that's a $1 million question, but actually it's more like the $32 million question, which is what we've £32 million, which is what we've got at the moment for the main school. We have been, we don't know, because essentially the current school is not involved in the commissioning of the 5th school. It's very much done by DHSC and NIHR. However, we've been told that there's probably no reason why there wouldn't be a 5th iteration of the school. We are just about to submit our midterm review to DHSC and NIHR, and they will use the sort of feedback and external review of that report to essentially influence the shape of the 5th iteration. We've had quite a few conversations with various different stakeholders about things that we would like to change, the current membership would like to change, such as us being able to work with other primary care departments in terms of fellows and what have you, which I've already mentioned today. So the answer is yes, probably, and yes, it probably the remit will change slightly. Yeah.
And we've got one more question, which I think we might just be able to sneak in before we finish, which is in terms of the timing for the doctoral fellowships, are they staggered? So applicants will know if they've been successful or not for the welcome one before the closing date for the primary care clinicians one.
Yeah, so we do try really hard with this. So the primary care clinician, the welcome funded one, is live now with the application date of the 20th of December. We will interview at the beginning of February, with the announcement known obviously by the end of February. And at that point, the opportunities for our pre-doc awards, our primary care clinician career fellowships, will be open to interview in May. So we do try very hard to sort of stagger things. Yeah.
And finally, sorry, there's one more.
That's okay.
Can the SPCR advise on additional sources of funding for research, PPI and training costs to support fellowship awards where these only cover salary costs beyond those mentioned, like Spark?
Yes, of course. So this is probably easier for people within our membership, and that is an issue because we don't want to discourage people applying from outside. There is an element of research funding in the fellowships, but it's not going to be enough to do, you know, a sort of full pilot feasibility study, or you'll probably be able to do a systematic review because that's mainly sort of staff time. But for those people who are within the school, we do have the CCON and bridging funds, which we do encourage members to think about using, perhaps to help supplement the fellowships. Our own SPCR funding rounds, particularly the internal ones, which are sort of mainly single member based awards, we've encouraged the use of those previously to support fellowships. PPIE, the school does award some PPI funds to each member each year, and it's up to the member department how they spend that, but I'm aware that some of the members have used that sort of for pre-application development work. And I think all I can do is assure you that the fellowships that we've awarded to date, we have been able to accommodate the research element of the fellowship, in addition to the training and development aspects of the postdoc or the fellowship within the funding envelope of our awards. But we do appreciate that, you know, it's limited in terms of the amount of particular research that you could possibly do within the 2 years. Okay, I think that is the end of the questions with 4 minutes to spare. So I really do hope this has been useful, and the slides will be available, the recording will be available, and excuse me, and I'm very happy to take questions by email if something occurs to you after today. So thanks very much for your time, and see you soon.